The G20 summit in Indonesia, Bali, was always extremely high stakes. What can we learn from it? What's happened? And is the world in a better place? Well, first of all, we've seen Biden meet with Xi. 3-hour meeting. That's good news. Why? Because if it was a short meeting, everybody would be concerned. But the fact that they're discussing things and they seem to have agreed some sort of consensus on trade, and they both realize that the world needs trade to flow easily, or more easily than it has done in the last 6 months. If there's anything to learn from the last 6 months, it is that once you get supply chain issues, it causes problems in every single country around the world. So whilst Asia and China in particular doesn't have inflation, its economy is struggling simply and solely because of its supply chain issues. They know that, Xi knows that, and now you're seeing an opening up to some extent in China, which means that their economy can start to pick up again. They've handled the property crisis fairly well. So we're now in a situation where, again, that having been controlled, the world's in a better place. We see at the same time Biden communicating with everybody else. America actually is in a less powerful position than it has done in the past. And whilst I know Americans aren't going to agree, you have to say that the situation with Russia is that China can control it. It can actually mediate. And I think that's come out of this particular conference, is that China can put pressure on Russia, and that can de-escalate the situation in Ukraine. That's super important for the world. Okay, nobody wants a nuclear war. Nobody wants World War III. Everybody wants to make sure that this is decelerated, goes down, it's de-escalated is a better word, so that we can actually make sure that the world is in a safer place. Trade is important, and I think that everybody's realizing that. Okay, and also we've seen that Xi has stood up to the the Canadian president, and actually said, we don't want you leaking information to the press. Okay, an elite video. Again, you can see that China is prepared to stand up for itself. So we've seen a conference where many have appeared as equals rather than one particular nation in control, as perhaps we seem to have felt in the past. It feels like good news. It's finished at the end with a consensus that war isn't good. So whilst there's no blame attached from the G20, the consensus is war isn't good. Okay, fairly obvious, but nevertheless, the denunciation of war by all, okay, that's actually very, very important. And again, it puts pressure on Russia. Expect at some stage there to be some peace talks there. Okay, actually sooner than perhaps, in my opinion, than people expect. Okay, inflation seems to be cooling. In other words, we seem to see right now, although the UK had massive figures yesterday of 11.1, we actually see that lots of things are actually starting to reduce. So whilst individuals might not be feeling that yet, the feeling is, and the actual indicators of prices, wholesale prices, is they're starting to come down. Good news, and I'm sure if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you're going to see good news now as we go towards the end of the year, which is going to help the stock market, help the economy, and there's going to be opportunities for everybody. Conference, a success? Yes. Okay, it's difficult to get lots of powerful people together with big egos and get some form of agreement. It seems, if nothing else, there's been good communication. It was high risk. It could have gone wrong. I'm actually believe from everything that I've seen and I've read that actually it's been a good conference. Leave a comment below on what you think. It's an important stage for the world. I actually think it's a positive, good for the stock market, good for investors, most importantly, good for everybody in the world.